Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Cathy McGrath, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 17, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. And today's issue of the Neepawa Banner and Press is for Friday, August 15th, 2025. And on the front page, a thunderous arrival to Neepawa. The evening of August 9th had plenty of gray clouds, but the thunderous sound that day came not from the sky, but from the roads. At approximately 6 p.m., the rolling barrage made their annual stop in Neepawa. Curious and eager individuals gathered at the Neepawa Legion to greet the riders, get a close look at their motorcycles, and join the crew for dinner in the Legion Hall. The Rolling Barrage makes a cross-country trip every year as a fundraiser to support veterans and first responders with post-traumatic stress disorder and to raise awareness. And here you can see some of the riders coming in, as well as the herd of motorcycles parked. And an evening of gratitude with the Rolling Barrage. A series of special presentations were made during the Rolling Barrage's visit to Neepawa this past weekend. This included donations presented by the Neepawa Legion representatives, Bob Ferguson, and the Legion Ladies representative, Lori Kahinsky, and a donation from Valerie Solstice of the Erickson Legion. These donations were accepted on stage by Rolling Barrage representatives Michael Kirk, provincial team leader, and Mark Goldade, a Canadian team leader. A pair of quilts were presented by Neepawa's Mary Murray. Additional presentations were also made by the Rolling Barrage, showing their appreciation for Neepawa's support and hospitality. Mary Murray, pictured left, received a special placard of gratitude recognizing her years of support, and the Neepawa Legion was honored with a certificate of appreciation for the same, pictured below. The certificate was accepted by Bruce Bremner. And a community fixture for all, the official grand opening to be held for Gellin Small Dream Ride Park by Casper Warehan. And pictured above, a view of the Gellin Small Dream Ride Park in Neepawa. Flower beds border the front entrance of the pocket park, and additional planters adorn the interior. The picnic tables have wheelchair-accessible slots, and the Dream Ride bench can also be found here. And left, the Dream Ride bench, which has made its permanent home at the park. While Neepawa's Dream Ride is well known for making dreams come true, one of its very own has come to fruition. After a year of planning and hard work, the Gellin Small Dream Ride Park will be having its grand opening on Monday, August 18th. According to Dream Ride coordinator Marcia Forgue, the park is designed to be a community place downtown for all to use. The park's already and has wheelchair-accessible tables, and the hardtop gazebo was installed this past weekend, said Forgue. All that's left is the permanent signage for our sponsors. Forgue added, "We're very thankful to Gellin Small for partnering with us and donating the land for the park, as well to all the people and sponsors who helped to make this possible. All members of the public are welcome to attend the grand opening celebrations on August 18th, which will be marked by a community barbecue from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. A fee of $5 applies for the food and refreshments, with any funds raised being donated to the Dream Factory. Additionally, patrons will potentially be able to turn up the heat on their own cookouts, as they will have a chance to win a Blackstone grill. The Gellin Small Dream Ride Park is located beside Neepawa's Gellin Small, which is located at 371 Mountain Avenue. A nice addition to our community. And moving on, Right in Center by Ken Waddell. looking back and ahead. I beg your patience, but this week's column is rather reflective in nature. In 1970, when I moved back out to rural Manitoba, I had just finished 4 years of university, and my wife and I and our firstborn son took up residence in Carberry. Carberry was larger than my hometown of Holland, Manitoba, and certainly larger than the village of Scarth, south of Virden, where my wife Christine, nee Lobel, attended grades 1 to 8. Carberry wasn't and isn't as large as Virden, which is where Christine attended high school. Many things have stayed the same in the past 55 years, but many things have changed. I often reflect on how things have changed. In 1970, Scarth still had a tiny railway station, a little store, and a school converted to community center. Virden was well into its oil and energy phase. Neepawa had lost its major industry, the salt well, and was in the midst of converting the salt plant warehouse into the Yellowhead Center Hall and building a new ice arena. Many of the villages around Neepawa, Minnedosa, Rivers, and Virden still had services such as grain elevators, a garage or two, rinks, and even some medical services. Much of that has changed. Until the recent establishment of the barn at Kilwood, one had to drive up Highway 5 from Neepawa to McCreary, a distance of about 35 miles, to find a gas station. Many of the village or country stores are gone now. The local country schools have mostly disappeared about the time I graduated from high school in 1966. There is no grain elevator at Neepawa anymore, and there used to be 2 back then and many more in earlier years. To this day, I'm still not sure why farms have gotten so much larger than they were in days gone by. Compared to the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, farms work today is not the drudgery it used to be, but that obvious improvements didn't stop the drift of population off the farms. We are seeing a bit of a community resurgence. Centers in all our newspaper coverage areas are growing, albeit some faster than others. There are still some stumbling blocks. Hydro capacity is a limiting factor for industrial expansion. Most towns do not have the hydro, water, or sewage capacity to take on big projects. That's sad because, in my opinion, our cities have grown big enough. There is direct connection between crime and cities becoming too large, so why are we putting more and more efforts and resources into Winnipeg? I likely will get little support for this next idea, but isn't Winnipeg or even Brandon large enough? And as far as building codes are concerned, I think they have added way too much to construction costs. 2x4 walls are fine if they are built correctly. Dual pane windows are okay in my books, and triple panes are not necessary. Can we not build homes in expandable sections? I know some older homes look awful with a lean-to onto a lean-to, but with a bit of imagination, houses can be built that are expandable. Does every new house need a garage right away, or could the garage be added later? Don't get me wrong, I love my double garage. But in the history of our current home, which was first built around 1908, added on to in 1911, and again in 2015, the garage was added to this property by a previous owner 60 years after the house was first built. Rural Manitoba needs more people, including tradespeople and professionals too. One can hardly call most rural areas overcrowded. Closing of schools, elevators, machinery, and car dealerships all added to the decline of rural areas. But the areas that have grown, are growing, and will grow need to elect very strong leadership at the local council level so they can present a strong front to deal with businesses, with the banks and credit unions, and with both levels of government. There's lots of blame to go around when a community declares that much of the blame can be seen in our bedroom mirrors. Have we had new ideas? Have they been reasonable, progressive, feasible, and been ones that build our communities up? Or have we stood back and just hoped for the best instead of avoiding the worst? I would say if you have some investment money and you are investing a large percentage of it outside your community, you might be investing in the wrong place. Your community needs and deserves your full attention. And again, the disclaimer, the views expressed in this column are the writer's personal views and are not to be taken as being the view of the newspaper staff. And Home Buddies by Rita Friesen. Swinging from branches. Sven Somm, a fisheries officer from Norway, worked with his brother Jakob as spies against the Nazi German army. His brother was caught in 1943 and executed after he had helped sabotage the hydro plant in Telemark. The Nazis knew about Sven and warrants for his arrest. Sven continued with his undercover work, was captured, handcuffed, and was condemned to be executed for spying. He managed to escape. When his escape was discovered, 900 soldiers with bloodhounds were sent after him. In 2 months, he undertook a remarkable 200-mile trek. At times, Sven would climb up pine trees and jump from tree to tree, eliminating tracks. It was not an easy escape. A farmer offered proper mountain boots. A safe house provided shelter until false papers were in place. And then, traveling through Sweden to Britain, his incredible detailed work made a huge difference in the war effort. And he was middle-aged when he swung through the trees to freedom. I love the story, the image of a middle-aged man climbing a pine tree to a height where he could build momentum to swing to another tall tree and repeat the action until he reached safety. It connects with Birches by Robert Frost. When I see birches bend to the left and right across the lines of straighter, darker trees, I like to think some boy's been swinging them. The poet goes on to explain that it is really ice storms that break the back and spirit in the gentle birch. The poem goes on imagining a young boy at play riding the branches. He learned all there was to learn about not launching out too soon, and so not carrying the tree away clear to the ground. Then he flung outward, feet first, with a swish, kicking his way down through the air to the ground. Frost then remembers swinging from trees himself, wishing to repeat the feat. I'd like to go by climbing a birch tree and climb black branches up on snow-white trunk towards heaven, till the tree could bear no more, but dipped its top and set me down again. That would be good both going and coming back. One could do worse than be a swinger of birches. These images, a spy escaping enemies by swinging from pine tree top to pine tree top, and the poet wishing his last earthly ride was from a birch tree, comfort me and encourage me. That may seem a bit strange, but I am a tree hugger, a planter of trees, not so much one who swings from the top of a tree. Though there was the time when I was supervising 2 grandsons as they cleaned dead branches out of the careless maples on the acreage. They had a rope tied to a fairly large branch and weren't able to bring it down. I chose to use my own body weight as a pendulum, gaining momentum with every mad dash from north to south and back again. Then, with a snap, the branch broke and I went head over heels into the dirt. Not a glorious dismount. And a valuable lesson, Faithfully Yours by Neil Stroshine. Some of life's lessons, when learned, fill us with regret. True, the lessons help us cope with the different challenges life sends us, and that makes them seem valuable. What we regret is not learning them sooner, because if we had, they could have saved us a great deal of discomfort. But in our youthful exuberance and lack of maturity, we may think we know all we need to know to live perfect lives, and that there is little, if anything, that we can learn from the mistakes of our ancestors. That is where we are wrong. Unfortunately, most of us will not realize that until late in life, and some of us never will. One of the lessons I should have learned from my early years on my parents' farm is that success in life requires faith and flexibility. On our farm, we followed every flexible schedule. We used warm winter days for doing necessary yard work. We went to town on days when we couldn't do much else. Critical farm work, planting, harvest, haying, was done on time and when weather conditions permitted. Appointments, medical, dental, vision, etc., were kept. We didn't worry about the work we couldn't do on those days. It could be done the next day, and it was. But every night after supper, I would see my dad sitting in his favorite chair, his Bible open on his lap in front of him, and his hands folded in prayer. I know that in those times he was asking God to help him use his time wisely, so that all the necessary farm work would be done before freeze-up. God answered that prayer, and all the work got done. This simple act of faith helped keep my parents grounded when they faced difficult years and had to make crucial life decisions. They knew that there is an inseparable bond between faith and flexibility. You need both to lead a fully balanced life. For them and for me, no one demonstrates a better understanding of this truth than Jesus himself. In the Sermon on the Mount, he gave us this advice: do not worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will bring worries of its own. Today's troubles are enough for today. Matthew 6:34. To those words he added these: we must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. Night is coming when no one can work. John 9:4. During his time on earth, Jesus was very busy, but he always had time to do his Father's will. What was the secret? What can we learn from him? Jesus lived life one day at a time. He welcomed everyone who came to him, believing that his heavenly Father had sent him his way. He did for each one what the Father asked him to do, and then moved on to the next person. He began his work as the sun was rising. He ended it as the sun was setting. Then he laid down, had a good night's sleep, and woke up ready to face a new day, just as he had faced the previous one. Can we live as Jesus did? Is his example one we can follow? I believe it is possible, and that Jesus' example is one we all can follow. God will help us, but we must take the first step, beginning each day with prayer. Here I am, Lord, I come to do your will. Then go about your day as usual, but be flexible, ready to help anyone God sends your way. And Beautiful Plains Museum, a 75th anniversary memory. And pictured here down here, Neepawa welcomed 2,170 guests from all over Canada for Neepawa's 75th anniversary week celebration in 1958. This total was registered at the municipal building. The celebrations were opened on June 30th that year and included an extensive variety of activities, including the opening of the Rotary Park Lake and a massive parade sponsored by the Lions Club. Pictured is one of the many scenes from the events celebrating Canada's 75th anniversary. This photo and much more can be found at the Beautiful Plains Museum. And Hunts Valley 140, clarification. There was an error of phrasing within the Hunts Valley 140 preview article in last week's paper. Please note that the event is already at full capacity for Saturday, August 16th. As such, additional attendees are not being accepted for entry to the hall grounds on that date due to fire regulations. However, the Hunts Valley 140 committee is still encouraging people to attend the Mass on August 17th at 1 p.m., which will be administered by Archbishop Murray Chatelain. Everyone is welcome to attend. Please bring your lawn chairs as we expect the church to be filled beyond capacity, said committee member Will Smith. And just find these continuations for this. Okay. Letters. Give used car buyers a break. Note, this letter is an editorial written by Gage Hobrick, the Prairie Director for Canadian Taxpayers Federation. Let's go car shopping in Manitoba. The first car is a brand new Ford Mustang Mach-E that costs more than $55,000. And the second is a used 2008 Toyota Corolla for $8,500. Which of these cars do you think comes with a $4,000 check from the Manitoba government? It's not the used Corolla. That's right, the Manitoba government has been bankrolling electrical vehicle buyers since last year. When someone buys a brand new EV costing up to $70,000, the government sends them a $4,000 check. Used EV buyers can expect $2,500. The government initially was spending $25 million on the subsidy, but in budget 2025, the government revved up the spending by $14.8 million. That's almost $40 million worth of checks going to Manitobans who can afford EVs. Like a reverse Robin Hood, the government is taking tax dollars from people who can't afford a new EV and handing it over to wealthier people who can. All the Corolla buyer gets is a 7% retail tax sale bill from the provincial government. After the person saved up $8,500 to buy the used Corolla, they will have to fork over about $595 extra to the government. It doesn't matter how many times the used vehicle has been bought and sold and taxed before. Every time a vehicle changes hands in Manitoba, the government sends an RST bill, even if the tax has already been paid multiple times before. And the sales price is not the only thing the government considers when sending you your tax bill. If the government's black book value shows the car is worth more than you paid for it, it sends you an RST bill for that amount instead of the deal you got. However, if you paid more than the black book value, the government expects an RST check for the higher amount. The government doesn't care if you shopped around to find a deal on your latest car. It expects to get its full cut. Manitobans who can afford to purchase a brand new EV don't need checks from the government. But Manitobans looking to buy used could definitely use a break on their taxes. That's because the majority of EV owners earn more than $100,000 per year, according to the government briefing notes. The average Manitoban earns about $60,000. A quick look at Auto Trader shows more than 200 gas or diesel-powered vehicles for sale in Manitoba under $10,000. There are less than 5 used electrical vehicles available under that price. However, none of them would even qualify for the government subsidy because they are more than 4 years old. And even if you could find a used electric car that's new enough and in your price range, it's unlikely to fit most Manitobans' needs. If you work at a job that requires carrying stuff in your vehicle or live somewhere without EV chargers, a used Nissan Leaf compact car isn't going to cut it, regardless of the government subsidy. The federal government doesn't even charge GST on vehicles bought through the private sales. Alberta doesn't charge sales tax on any vehicle because it doesn't have a provincial sales tax. Manitobans aren't usually buying a used Corolla because it's their dream car. They're buying it because it's a necessity to get to work or take their kids to school. It's already ludicrous to get a tax bill when you purchase any necessity, but it's especially unfair when the tax has already been paid on the vehicle, potentially multiple times. And it just adds insult to injury that your wealthy neighbor is getting a $4,000 check from the government for their luxury EV purchase. Instead of trying to take as many tax dollars as possible by taxing the same used vehicle multiple times, the government should cancel its multi-million-dollar handout to wealthy EV buyers and axe the sales tax on used vehicles to give buyers a break on their next car purchase. By Gage Hobrecht, the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. And we'll go back. And we have some thumbs up and thumbs down. Thumbs up to Jane Gowdy for having the cairn of Central School cleaned, and also to the person who cleaned it. Looks great. Eleanor Scott from Neepawa. And a huge thumbs up for the committee that organized the McCreary Homecoming Party on August long weekend. A wonderful job. Chuck Morton from KK2 in Neepawa. And thumbs up to the town of Neepawa and the people who look after the hanging plants and flower arrangements, etc. They are so colorful and beautiful this year. From Eleanor Scott of Neepawa. All thumbs up, no thumbs down. And out of Helen's kitchen, zucchini. At this time of year, there is no avoiding this green oblong squash we know as zucchini. Ancestors of the zucchini came from the Americas. They were native to today's Mexico and the northern parts of South America since more than 7,000 years ago. Columbus introduced squash into Europe's cuisine after his 1492 voyage. When the European colonization of North America started, the seeds came with them and their cultivation began. Turkish cuisine has shredded zucchini fried into savory pancake and eaten with yogurt, and in France, zucchini is a key component in the classic dish ratatouille. Italians serve their zucchini with tomato sauces, pasta, and herbs. In many countries of the world, the flowers of zucchini are stuffed, battered, and deep fried. For many of us, our favorite way to eat zucchini is in a sweet chocolate cake. Whether you are growing zucchini in your garden or receiving gifts of them from friends, there is no such thing as too much zucchini. Yes, you read that right. You just need more zucchini recipes to use them up. And Helen has in her paper here, frying pan zucchini, zucchini pizza boats, and zucchini ginger muffins. And she probably has a lot more ideas. And Your Listening Ear by Delcy Martin. How to have a difficult conversation with your partner. When you are ending the conversation, make sure that you are mindfully in it. We have a natural tendency to be lost in our heads, and this is not something that easily switches off during a conversation. For a lot of people, they are 80% in the conversation. The rest of it is off in their head, usually anticipating what they will say. Being mindfully in the conversation is ensuring that your full attention is on your partner. After you have accepted the invitation into conversation, your only job is to listen to your partner fully and completely. When your partner is speaking, focus all your attention on them and hear what they are saying. Your brain will naturally wander away from them, and this is totally normal. It does not mean that you are a bad listener. Acknowledge it and gently draw your attention back to the conversation. This may need to happen several times and over a number of conversations before it becomes easier. Do tilt your body slightly toward the person who is talking. Do not cross your arms or curl your body into itself. Do smile and offer minimal encouragers by nodding your head or saying, as your partner talks. When your partner is done speaking, repeat back to them what they said to you and ask if you understood correctly. When stating your position, do this as clear and detailed way as possible. If your partner has a habit of interrupting or talking over you, don't be afraid to ask for silence until you are finished speaking. Sometimes we incorrectly assume that our partners know what we mean when we say something. We also assume that they should be able to understand us with minimal content because we are supposed to know each other because we are in an intimate relationship. Go into your conversation assuming that your partner knows nothing about your intentions and describe them as such. Remember, all your partner is receiving when you speak are your words. They are left to interpret the emotions and underlying meanings. Studies have shown that if your partner has emotionally disconnected or distanced themselves from you, they will have a harder time reading your emotions and nonverbal body language. Studies also show that anxiously attached individuals are more likely to interpret neutral facial expressions and tones as negative. Making sure you are as descriptive as possible will help make your nonverbal and emotional language easier to understand. Don't hold back in saying what your partner is doing well or if they have made good points, especially during a tenuous conversation. Admit when you are wrong. The goal of a discussion is not to win. The goal of a conversation is to tackle the topic together and win by finding a solution that maximizes happiness for both of you. If you are going into a conversation with the goal of winning it, you are already making it a divided issue rather than a shared tackling of said issue as a team. Conflict is natural and can be an opportunity to strengthen a relationship. A conflict does not mean the end of a relationship. The healthiest and longest-term relationships out there are ones that have conflict. The unhealthiest relationships also have conflict. How that conflict is managed and ensuring that no one comes out of the conflict hurt or offended is what matters most. The 80th anniversary of victory over Japan Day. This week, on August 15th of 1945, the end of the war in the Pacific and the end of the Second World War was marked. The page pictured above is from the Neepawa Press. On August 14th, Japan accepted the demand for unconditional surrender. Due to a difference in time zones, news of the surrender reached Canada and other allied nations the following day. Since then, August 15th has become known as Victory over Japan Day. The official signing of surrender, however, did not occur until September 2nd. According to the Canadian Encyclopedia, Japan's surrender was observed across Canada with joy and in some cases street riots. And note, it is also important to mention that Japanese Canadians were persecuted during World War II, with nearly 22,000 people being forced out of their homes in 1941 and into what came to be known as internment camps. Victory over Japan Day did not bring immediate freedom or an end to their persecution. After the war, then Prime Minister Mackenzie King stated that Japanese Canadians should either return to Japan or move away from the West Coast. Thousands of internees were deported to Japan, while others were forced to relocate permanently to other parts of Canada. Meanwhile, persecution, such as controls on their residency and property ownership, only gradually eased. Additionally, the final restriction was only lifted in 1949, when Japanese Canadians were allowed to vote in elections. This info is per details provided by Canadian Encyclopedia. Badge of Courage Gave Prisoner of War Hope by Rod Nickel of the Neepawa Banner and Press. Note, in accordance with this feature marking the 80th anniversary of Victory over Japan Day, the Neepawa Banner and Press has seen fit to include this story on Les Seaburn from the January 22nd, 1996 edition of the Neepawa Banner. A discarded piece of teak wood became an important diversion from conditions in a Japanese prison camp for Len Seaborn. Seaborn, 86, spent 4 years in prison camps after the Japanese captured Seaborn's Winnipeg Grenadiers, who were trying to defend Hong Kong in 1941. For 4 years, war prisoners got up at 5 a.m. and began 9-hour work shifts in mines, factories, and an airport by 7 a.m. Work ended at 5 p.m. POWs were usually given a bowl of rice in the morning, sometimes a small bun with water at noon, and rice again for supper. Most POWs, Seaborn said, laid down on the bunks all evening spent from work. But not Seaborn. Well, in North Point Camp in 1941, a work party brought back a 9 by 11-inch piece of teak wood from a bombed Chinese temple. It was going to be thrown out when someone remembered Seaborn. "Give it to Seaborn," he said. "He's always mucking about." For the next month, Seaborn worked to replicate the Grenadier's badge of courage using a small jackknife, a large bolt for a hammer, a worn file, a small piece of hacksaw blade, and a piece of broken glass. Seaborn completed the badge carving, complete with decorations of a crown of leaves and the Grenadier motto, Adsium, Adsium, which means "I am here." To make the crown and lettering, Seaborn cut up grass from his web equipment. The leaves and border are made of strips of bamboo cut to precise thickness and length. Seaborn needed more than 2,000 pieces of bamboo and grass for the badge. "It was something to do," he said last week from his Neepawa home, where the badge now hangs. Most of the other POWs were laying down most of the day, and all that time they didn't do anything. "I've always been playing around, making some damn thing." When the Japanese transferred Seaborn out of Hong Kong into Japan, he left the badge with fellow POW Chester Budd, formerly of Kelwood. Budd later brought the badge back to Manitoba after the war and pictured Island Seaborn, who was a prisoner of war in World War II. And businesses feel pretty optimistic about Neepawa. New survey paints rosy picture for local business success and expansion by Owen Devereaux. Neepawa-based businesses appear to be bucking the trends when it comes to how optimistic they are feeling about what their community has to offer. The results of a new report commissioned by our local economic development office were revealed at this month's town council meeting held on Tuesday, August 5th. The survey was conducted by Deloitte LLP and saw the national firm reach out to 79 area businesses via telephone and email. The total response rate back was around 20%, which is much higher than is typical for this type of market research. Something else that was atypical nowadays was the favorability that appears to be being felt in our local shops. The responses suggested that an overall attitude about doing business in Neepawa over the past year has had a net positive increase of 29%, 37% more positive, 56% the same, and 8% more negative. When asked, would you recommend this town to another business looking to expand or relocate, 94% of those businesses responded positively. 52% strongly agree, 42% somewhat agree, 3% somewhat disagree, and 3% strongly disagree. In regard to what was making them feel so positive about Neepawa, the businesses overwhelmingly cited satisfaction with the business-friendly policies and regulations, 88% of respondents, speed of local broadband internet, 88%, expansion opportunities in new markets, 82%, and marketing efforts to promote the town, 80%. There were some concerns brought forward, however, related to availability of adequate housing, 27% satisfaction, and availability of childcare for staff, 43%. Economic Development Officer for Neepawa, Marilyn Crew, noted that the overall results from the Business Community Health Index were very favorably compared to national and provincial averages. Deloitte LLP said the national 5-year business health score is 757, and Neepawa scored 792. So what that means is that we outperformed the provincial average with regard to businesses, changes in attitudes, community recommendation, and on factors related to business supports, policies, and incentive, explained Crew. I did ask them for clarification, and they said that they've only ever had one community score over 800. So I think that Neepawa is well placed based on this index. In conclusion, Crew said that this information will be very helpful as they look to build upon their economic development plans. The strong support for Neepawa as a place to do business was positive feedback, Crew explained to the Banner and Press. The results showed a list of priorities to direct my work. This list was identical to the priorities of Council and the resulting work from the EDO office. So I would say Neepawa's business community has cemented the direction of Council with this response. The full report can be viewed online at https://chosenneepawa.com and is the first option located in the reports section. And there are some graphs indicating what has basically been reported in the report, but they're kind of tiny for me to read, so sorry. And Kelwood celebrates annual fair with community-wide festivities. The village of Kelwood was alive and thriving during Kelwood Agricultural Society's annual fair. The day kicked off with the Kelwood Fire Department serving breakfast and lunch, a parade, a pie auction, a classic car show, a maker's market, and a horse show. To wrap the evening up, a supper and dance was held with entertainment provided by Generation Gap. And pictured here, there's people on tractors, on horses, a horse-drawn buggy, speakers in a car show, and more people on horses. It looks like it was fun. And don't forget White Mud Music Festival, August 22nd and 23rd at Lansdowne Centennial Park. And fun and education at the 2025 Manitoba Youth Beef Roundup. And pictured, 109 kids, pictured above, took part in the 2025 Manitoba Youth Beef Roundup earlier this month. The annual event featured a variety of activities and workshops for the youths in attendance, which aid in building up their livestock knowledge and skills and more. This also included cattle grooming, judging, showmanship, and more. And pictured bottom right, Grand Champion Angus Female was awarded to Bryn Chapman with Roy Mac Erica 22M. And there's also other pictures of little girl grooming and people getting lessons. Looks like a good time. And 2025 Manitoba Youth Beef Roundup Report. The 18th annual Manitoba Youth Beef Roundup was held August 1st to 3rd, 2025 at Stride Exhibition Place in Neepawa, Manitoba. This may be the best Manitoba Youth Beef Roundup ever held, with a record number of enthusiastic junior cattle producers and largest number of cattle to date. Sadly, we had to turn some juniors away and some cattle as we were packed full. Over 109 youth and 122 head of cattle gathered for an educational and fun weekend. This event draws youth aged 6 to 25 from Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Committee members consist of co-chairs Lois McRae, Jake Walluck, and Laura Horner, Dallas Robertson, Ken and Carrie Hinsberg, Blair McRae, Rella Hunter, Albert and Michelle Rimke, Megan Kemp, Lana Kraus, Mary Jane Orr, Cara Thompson, Bobby Joe Foster, Jolie Bootsman, Sadie McCauley, and Gracie Faulkner Brutolette. The success of this event is attributed to not only the teamwork of the committee members, but also the hands-on assistance of parent volunteers, jumping in whenever and wherever necessary. Our judges for the weekend were Denver Bolton and Nolan Glover, Wawota, along with Bevan Hamilton, Lakeland College. The August 1st events, Friday events kicked off with the ever-popular Ag Challenge. Members are grouped into teams of all ages and 12 stations with life skills, example changing a grease gun, artificial insemination, hot wire fence making, cattle parts of the animal, relays, etc. Educational workshops for juniors and Pee-wee members on showmanship and grooming. Senior members were instructed on marketing your product on the internet, Janelle Gilka, and how to make cattle photos, Laura Horner. Leadership workshop presented by Mary Jane Orr and Jolie Bootsman for the senior and intermediate members entered off that day. August 2nd events. Saturday began bright and early with judging workshops facilitated by our 3 cattle judges. Senior members were then required to judge heifers, steers, sheep, and filling out a judging card for each and providing oral reasons for the cattle and sheep. Intermediate provided oral reasons for the heifer and sheep class and written reasons for the others. Juniors provided written reasons for all and oral reasons for heifer class. Pee-wee members and junior members were involved in a unique cattle camp where they learned how to judge in a more appropriate setting, as well as making and tying rope halters, parts of the meat cuts, and boning legs. After lunch, members participated in team grooming, team judging, and sales talk. The evening concluded with group members competing in the cook-off, where each group was provided with steak and was required to prepare a meal for 2 discerning judges. Evaluation. Our judges were treated to feasts worthy of kings and queens. Steak judges were Joan Airy and Ron McDonald from Manitoba Charlet, Gordon and Diane Peters, Liz from the Neepawa Vet Clinic, and Alice Rook. major implements represented by Dave, and Manitoba beef producers represented by Andre. August 3rd events. Sunday is show day. It begins with showmanship and is followed by the confirmation show, a parade of 4-H champions, and the Supreme show. The weekend concludes with the awards and supper. A large crowd attended the weekend events. It was great to see 8 past Roundup participants that now their children are involved in the Roundup show. An auction of unique items was held with funds from the auction going towards the scholarship fund. Special thanks to our donators and buyers for supporting this program, $6,190. A special thanks to all our sponsors and volunteers who make this event possible. These skills are preparing our livestock youth with lifelong skills and friendships in the beef industry. See you all next year at Manitoba Youth Beef Roundup 2026. View photos and results at www.mbyouthbeefroundup.weebly.com. Note, results for the roundup will appear in a future edition of the paper. And there is a thanks to all the sponsors. They're listed here, and to the volunteer committee. A half decade of dominance. We're into sports now. Delaloi wins 5th straight Neepawa Golf Club Championship by Owen Devereux. Hayden Delaloi won his 5th straight Neepawa Golf and Country Club Championship on Sunday, August 10th. Hayden Delaloi has brought back a few new skills from Nebraska, which helped him to achieve a little bit of history last weekend at the 2025 Neepawa Golf and Country Club, NGCC, Championship. Delaloi posted an impressive 2-day total of 143, 72, 71, to win the men's tournament on Sunday, August 10th. This victory is Hayden's 5th straight club title, which is an achievement that future NGCC members may have an extremely difficult time duplicating. For Hayden, who is heading back this week for his 2nd year at Southeast Community College in Lincoln, Nebraska, winning the club title is still as significant to him as it was the first time. Neepawa Golf and Country Club is where his passion for the sport began and where his talent for it blossomed. As for his efforts out there recently, Hayden noted that he came back from Nebraska with some slight additions to his skill set. The putter has improved being down there, said Delaloi. One other improvement was due to playing against the wind. It's pretty windy down in Nebraska, and it actually comes to you in a lot of different angles and levels. I had to learn some new techniques to deal with it, and it's given me a bit more control of where the shot is going when the conditions get a bit more difficult out there. Congratulations to Hayden, and best of luck in your 2-year Nebraska. Near perfect round wins in Neepawa. Carolyn Hardy claims NGCC Senior Ladies Open by Owen Devereux. And in pictured, Carolyn Hardy is congratulated by NGCC General Manager Landon Cameron for her win in the 2025 Senior Ladies Open. With the exception of one minor stumble on the 16th hole, Carolyn Hardy was as close to perfect as any golfer could ever hope for during the Neepawa Golf and Country Club Senior Ladies Open. Hardy, who plays primarily out of the Wheat City Golf Course in Brandon, shot an impressive round of 77 over 18 holes on Wednesday, August 6th, to win the 2025 event. That round was 3 shots clear of her nearest competitor, Danielle Bell, who herself is a former Ladies Open winner in 2023. Hardy has competed in the Open on several occasions, but this is her first victory in Neepawa. After her round, Hardy told the Banner and Press that normally her ability off the tee is her strength. On this day, however, she felt as though her play in the fairway was what powered her to an exceptional round and the win. Usually I hit it off the tee a bit longer than most in the ladies' tournament. Today, though, my short game, especially on the 2nd or 3rd shot, was probably the best it's been in quite some time, said Hardy. Everything sort of dialed in and it was good. The one lone exception for Hardy, where she had a bit of trouble, was on hole number 16, when her initial tee shot got away from her. Hardy ended up having to take another shot and finished with a double bogey. She rebounded with a birdie on 17 and parred the 18th to close the round and secure the victory. And some stats: longest putt, hole 3, Betty Ann Aiken, 25 feet 4 inches. Hole 11, Linda Lowry, 17 feet 6 inches. Closest to the pin, hole 4, Danielle, 8 feet 9 inches. Hole 6, Rhonda Williams, 10 feet 11 inches. Hole 8, Laura Lee Harris, 5 feet. Hole 12, Jane Troop, 7 feet 9 inches. Hole 18, Danielle Bell, 4 feet 8 inches. And the championship round. Carolyn Hardy, 77. Danielle Bell, 80. And Jane Troop, 88. First flight, Nancy Stack, 104. Candy Grant, 104. Heidi Howarth, 104. And the second flight, Jan Baker, 114. Sharon Jaska, 114. And Betty Ann Aiken, 115. And the 9-hole ladies, Linda Hart, 57. And Colleen Taylor, 60. And Minnedosa Golf and Country Club's 2025 club champions. And they are pictured on this page at the top. The 2025 Minnedosa Golf and Country Club, MGCC, men's champion is Derek Cameron, who shot a 2-day total of 78.76. This is the third time in the last 4 years that Cameron has claimed the club championship, having also won last year and in 2022. The Minnedosa Golf and Country Club's 2025 ladies champion is Clara Peak, who shot an impressive 141, 71, and 70 over the course of the 2-day event. And the Minnedosa Golf and Country Club's 2025 senior men's champion, Darren Blake, won with a 2-day total of 146, 76, and 70. Congratulations to all these champions. And the Blue Dolphins swam in another tournament over in Treeherne. On Sunday, August 10th, the Dolphins made their way to Treeherne for the 4th meet of the season. Once again, the Dolphins performed with excellence at the meet. Final results as follows. 9 10-year-old girls, Charlize McSimic, 2nd in the 25-meter back and 25-meter breast, 3rd in the 50-meter breast, 4th in the 50-meter back, 8th in the 25-meter free. Julia Pollock, 100-meter IM improved by approximately 6 seconds. 100-meter free improved by approximately 4 seconds. Also competed in the 50-meter free and fly, 100-meter breast. Julia swims in Brandon with the winter swim team, so she cannot place, but continues to perform very well. Julie Smith, 4th 25-meter breast, 6th 25-meter free. Eve Vanell, 3rd 25-meter breast, 5th 25-meter free, and 8th 50-meter free. 11 and 12 girls. Riley Wilson, 1st 100-meter back, 50-meter back, 25-meter back, and 2nd in the 100-meter IM and 50 fly. 13 and 14 girls. Ann Crossan, 1st in the 50-meter back, 50-meter breast, 50-meter free, and 50-meter fly, 50-meter breast, and 100-meter IM. Carly Strelzik, 1st 25-meter back, 2nd 25-meter breast, 3rd 50-meter back, and 5th in the 25-meter free. And Sydney Wolf, 1st in the 25-meter free, 100-meter back, 2nd 50-meter free, 50-meter back, and 3rd in the 50-meter fly. Ella Fraze. Ella competed in the 25-meter free, 25-meter back, 50-meter breast, and free, improved by about 1 second in each. And Ella also competes in winter swim and is not as eligible to place in summer swim. And 2nd in 25-meter free, 25-meter back, 25-meter fly, and 35-meter breast. It looks like, sorry, that was my mistake. 15 and 17 girls. Aaliyah Jacobson, 2nd in the 25-meter free, 25-meter back, 25-meter fly, and 3rd in the 25-meter breast. Claire Ann Howe, 3rd in the 25-meter free, 25-meter fly, and 25-meter back, the 50-meter fray, and the 25-meter breast. 11 and 12 boys. Joey Smith, 1st in the 50-meter fly, 50-meter back, 2nd in the 100-meter IM, 25-meter fly, 3rd 25-meter free. Tanner Gingras, 2nd in the 25-meter breast, 3rd in the 25-meter back, and 4th in the 25-meter free. Matthew Fraze. Matthew competed in the 25-meter fly, 25-meter free, 50-meter breast, and 100-meter free. He improved by about 9 seconds and about a second improvement in his 50-meter back. 15 to 17 boys. J.C. Smith, 1st in the 25-meter free, 200-meter free, IM, or 200-meter IM, 25-meter fly, 100-meter IM, and 50-meter fly. And the relays, 25-meter freestyle relay, 1st, Ann Crossan, Sydney Wolf, Riley Wilson, and Julia Pollock. 3rd, Aaliyah Jacobson, Charlize McSimic, Claire Ann Howe, and Joey Smith. 4th, Julie Smith, Ella Fraze, J.C. Smith, and Tanner Gingras. Next action is August 17th, when the Blue Dolphins race on over to Winkler for the final competition of the season. Races start at 9 a.m. If your child or children would like to come out and try the practices, then please do. Practices are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. Contact Manager Dave at Neepawa Dolphins, neepawadolphins@outlook.com. And for results, check out the following: https://swimmanitoba.mb.ca/swimmers/programs/. Okay, and I love hockey and I love to try and help kids get better. Landon Cameron steps into AA coaching role. Neepawa's own Landon Cameron will be head coach of the U13 Yellowhead Chiefs male AA team this year. He has coached hockey in Manitoba for the last 16 seasons. This is by Joshua Jackson. A familiar face in the world of local athletics is taking over the helm of the U13 Yellowhead Chiefs male AA squad. Landon Cameron has been named head coach for the 2024-2025 season. Cameron said he is thrilled to take on the role this season. I saw this as an opportunity to grow as a coach, and an opportunity I didn't want to pass up to try and help kids in the region develop a bit higher level, he said. Currently, Cameron is the head golf professional at the Neepawa Golf and Country Club, has coached hockey in Manitoba for the past 16 seasons, guided teams from high school to minor hockey and spring programs. The new coach is hoping to build up the kids' skills in the program. I'm quite intense, so I'm hoping to bring some hockey knowledge along with intensity and passion for the game, he said. I love hockey and I love to try and help kids get better. Cameron has also served as the MJHL's Neepawa Titans assistant coach since 2022, which he believes gives an advantage in coming to coach the U13 AA team. I love coaching with Ken Pearson and Zach Hicks. I've learned a lot from them, and I look up to them as coaches. I definitely will use them as a sounding board and will be stealing some drills and philosophy. But most of all, it will help with developing kids who have aspirations of playing at a higher level in the years to come. The head coach added that it's an honor to be named the Chiefs AA head coach, having dabbled in the Yellowhead program years ago with the Directors' Cup. He always wondered if he would make the jump to the regional level at some point. It's good timing for me and my family to give it a shot, he said. For the love of the game. Cameron is a man of many hats, being involved with many local clubs. He noted he likes to be busy and lucky to have sports as a big part of his life for as long as he can remember. I've been lucky to have had a lot of good coaches in my life. My dad, Greg, Brad White, Ken Pringle, Keith Forsyth, Dave Kempthorne, and Brian Lynch, to name a few off the top of my head, he said. And they all gave back to kids when the time was right for them and their family. The time for me is now. So whatever juggling I need to do professionally to make it work, I will be happy to do. Cameron believes success in youth sports is about much more than wins. It's about building confidence, teamwork, responsibility, and creating a culture players are proud to be part of. I'm excited for the opportunity, and I'm willing to work as hard as I can to see these kids improve and thrive. And Game 3 tie extends the Santa Clara Baseball League final by Owen Devereaux. Oh, great. Now we'll need math to figure out the winner of this year's Santa Clara Baseball League, SCBL. Due to Game 3 between the Portage Padres and Plumas Pirates ending up tied on Wednesday, August 6th, the remainder of the series is now shifts to a points-based format with 2 points awarded for a win and 1 for a tie. Going into Game 3 at Republic of Manitoba Park, Portage held a 2-0 series lead. This potentially series-deciding game ran long, however, and stretched into dusk. They ultimately forced the umpires to call the game due to darkness. With this tie, the Portage Padres now lead 5-1 on points and need just a win or a tie in either of the next 2 games to clinch the championship. Game 4 will be played on Thursday, August 14th in Plumas, with Game 5, if needed, will be played back in Portage La Prairie on Friday, August 15th. And the Seton Center to mark the naturalist's 165th by Sienna Carrot. Pictured left, acclaimed naturalist, author, and artist Ernest Seton, who once made his home in Carberry. Pictured right and bottom left, views of some of the displays, books, and more that adorn the Seton Center's interior in Carberry. This week is the 165th birthday of the acclaimed naturalist, author, and artist Ernest Thompson Seton. Although he was born in England and made numerous places home over his 86 years of life, Seton was greatly impacted by the time he spent in southern Manitoba as a young man. When his older brother Arthur came to the Carberry area to pursue life on a homestead, Seton joined him in 1882 at the age of 22 with his own plans to try his hand at farming. However, Seton found himself captivated by the beauty of Manitoba's landscape and the diversity of plants and animals which he encountered when he arrived. Rather than farming, Seton's true interests were in meticulously observing and recording the richness of his surroundings, which eventually translated into numerous stories and illustrations of the wild animals he was becoming intimately familiar with. One of these stories, The Trail of the Sandhill Stag, was directly inspired by an experience Seton had hunting a deer in the Carberry area in October of 1884, which made him realize he preferred to study animals. These years he spent immersing himself in the natural world around Carberry would greatly influence his career and legacy as not only a respected naturalist, but also as an accomplished writer in the genre of animal fiction and a talented illustrator of animal anatomy. Seton's expertise led him to be appointed as Manitoba's first provincial naturalist, a title which he held for over 50 years until his death in 1946. While Seton did not make Manitoba his permanent residence, he returned frequently and recounted the period of time he stayed in the Carberry area in his autobiography as his golden days. Since 1992, a museum in Carberry called the Seton Centre has been dedicated to sharing the life story of Ernest Thomas Seton and his compassion for animals and nature. The museum will be celebrating Seton's birthday and numerous accomplishments on Thursday, August 14th, where we'll be joined by the children attending the summer programming for a fun day of making ice cream and playing nature-themed birthday games. And let's keep looking. And an editorial, Doing the Right Thing by Cam Dahl of the Manitoba Pork Council. It surprises many people when I tell them that they must shower before going into a hog barn and that their outdoor shoes are not nearly clean enough to be worn next to the pigs, but both statements are true. Strict biosecurity is a critical component of animal care and welfare. Biosecurity is key. Biosecurity protocols are key to helping farmers keep production diseases like porcine epidemic diarrhea and porcine reproductive and respiratory syndrome out of their barns. Biosecurity is also critical in preventing foreign animal diseases like African swine fever from entering Canada. Good biosecurity helps keep animals safe and healthy. The last major outbreak of PED in Manitoba, which began in the fall of 2021 and lasted throughout the spring of 2023, is estimated to have cost the province more than $100 million. Current estimates indicate that PRRS in the U.S. is costing the industry there $1.65 billion annually. Manitoba's hog and pork producers learned some key lessons from the last PED outbreak. The first is that the entire sector needs to work together if we are going to effectively protect the health of animals under our care. The second key lesson is more difficult. Sometimes parts of the value chain will need to take actions that are not in their short-term fiscal interest, but are in the long-term interest of industry. This collaboration demonstrates the industry's willingness to do the right thing, even when there is a short-term cost. The result of this teamwork in Manitoba's PED elimination plan, which has been effective in stopping disease spread. Farmers sometimes complain that outside experts are quick to tell them how to farm, but can be very slow to recognize the results of their efforts. That should not be the case here. Farmers and industry stakeholders should be recognized and congratulated for their collaboration on biosecurity and disease prevention and containment efforts. Beyond disease control, stringent biosecurity requirements explain why producers are concerned about unauthorized people coming onto their farms or into contact with their animals. If people from outside of the farm breach biosecurity, the efforts aiming at preventing the spread of disease will be for naught. This is a key reason why farmers support anti-trespass legislation. For farmers, doing the right thing goes beyond keeping diseases out of their barns. Farmers also work on a day-to-day basis to safeguard the overall welfare of their animals. Hog producers across Canada are guided in these efforts by the 105 Code of Practice requirements for the care and handling of pigs. Backing up the Code of Practice is legislation and regulation, like Manitoba's annual Animal Care Act. Confirming compliance with high standards for animal care includes verification. The Canadian Pork Excellence CPE program is a national platform for producers to demonstrate compliance with food safety, animal care, and traceability standards. Program registration is required to ship animals to federally inspected processors. Under these programs, animal care is assessed regularly, including regular visits from the herd veterinarian. The code is not something that was made up by industry as public relations exercise. It is a result of a rigorous development process that uses the best science on pig health and welfare, compiled through the independent and peer review process. The Code Development Committee includes independent scientists, representatives from animal welfare organizations, veterinarians, governments, and consumer-facing members, in addition to farmers. Environmentally sustainability. Doing the right thing also includes ongoing improvements in environmental sustainability. For example, modernization of agriculture has revolutionized nutrient management. Past generations did not have today's research or tools to minimize manure runoff. Currently, over 90% of hog manure in Manitoba is either injected below the surface or incorporated into the soil after it is applied to the land. This prevents leaching into our waterways and positions the valuable nutrients next to the seed where it is most beneficial for the crops. A source of pride. Advances in technology are making the application of manure more precise. Modern equipment can test the flow as manure is being applied using near-infrared technology and vary application rates on a real-time basis. Farmers use global positioning technology, ultrasonic speed sensors, and radar to ensure that manure is applied in the right place and at the right rate. Technology allows farmers to maximize the benefits of this natural fertilizer while helping to minimize nutrient leaching into waterways. Compliance with modern regulations helps deliver advancements in sustainability. Before applying manure, farmers are required to file manure management plans with the provincial government. These nutrient management plans are tailored to the specific crops being grown and include soil sampling to help prevent the over-application of nutrients. The environmental and animal care record of modern Manitoba hog farmers is one in which they take pride. It is also a record that should be a source of pride for all Manitobans. Nutritious, high-quality pork from Manitoba's farmers is raised in a sustainable way that will help ensure the industry's ongoing contributions to our economy and job creation in our local communities. And local artists on display through Neepawa Art Walk. This public art piece, located at Taylor Law Patterson's, is one of many locally created works that can be found throughout Neepawa by Joshua Jackson. If you've taken a walk on Neepawa's downtown recently, you might have noticed new vibrant displays of art popping up, and that is for good reason. It's all part of the Neepawa Art Walk, a thrilling tour through the town's core to discover beautiful artwork made by local creators. 7 stops are on the art walk, sprawling through Neepawa's downtown, from Arts Forward to the Neepawa Banner and Press, Dairy Queen, and even Riverbend Park. The project was created by NACI art students and teacher Cathy Martin and has since blossomed into a community-wide effort. Each mural tells a story of creativity, community pride, and local history. Arts Forward has been diligent in working to add more creative works to the walk, stemming from the Arts Forward's Art Fest benches and beautiful murals created by Neepawa Tourism and high school art students. The plan is to add more murals and benches as the roster of Neepawa artists continues to grow and flourish. Throughout the winter, Neepawa Tourism will release a digital version of the walking tour on its website and will launch an updated version of the brochure during the spring of 2026 in time for warmer days. Physical copies of the brochure are available at Arts Forward, the Town of Neepawa office, Hidden Hollow, Farmery Estate Brewery, and the Mill Lifestyle Store. And Dynamic Physiotherapy officially opened in Minnedosa by Casper Warehan. Kieran Baird, originally from Rossburn, has recently opened a new location for Dynamic Physiotherapy in Minnedosa. Dynamic has been in operation in the Westman area since 2005, primarily based out of Brandon and Hamiota. The community of Minnedosa officially welcomed a new physiotherapist last week. This is Kieran Baird of Dynamic Physiotherapy, operating in Brandon since 2005. Dynamic expanded into the Valley community and officially opened for the first time on August 5th. I'm thrilled to be able to add to the physiotherapy services in the area, and I'm looking forward to putting down roots in a great community, said Baird. Baird is originally from Rossburn, Manitoba, and has just recently moved back to Manitoba after some time living in BC. Now Baird lives just north of Minnedosa and plans to call the community his permanent home and provide his services long term. Brandon's Dynamic Physiotherapy is located 46 Main Street North. The primary reason for Dynamic to expand into Minnedosa was to provide Kieran, who has quickly become a valued member of our therapy team, an opportunity to continue to be part of Dynamic, yet reduce his commute by practicing closer to his home, said Daryl Ross, owner of Dynamic Physiotherapy. Dynamic also has a rural clinic in Hamiota, and we feel strongly that staying long-term in the communities where we invest and supporting local businesses is essential, and is only possible to make this commitment by having the clinic staffed by physiotherapists that live in the community. Ross added, also, as public physiotherapy services continue to be limited by funding and staff shortages, we feel the need and opportunity as a private physio clinic to bring services to rural communities as opposed to expecting clients to travel longer distances to larger centers such as Brandon. We do see a lot of clients from all over Westman up into Parkland regions traveling to our clinic in Brandon, so we're happy to be able to bring our services closer. Baird has a competitive history cross-country skiing and running and has expertise in areas such as providing running assessments to recreational runners, improving running mechanics, and developing specific running training programs. His experience goes beyond this as well, however, as he's been practicing physiotherapist for 5 years. During this time, he has treated orthopedic injuries and conditions of all kinds in all age groups. Kieran also has some vestibular training in patients with dizziness, vertigo, and balance disorders, said Ross. At this time, Dynamic Physiotherapy's Minnedosa location will purely be offering physiotherapy services. However, Ross noted that there are plans to potentially include massage services at the site, administered by a local massage therapist on days when Baird is off-site. Currently, physio services are being provided on Tuesdays and Fridays. Ross noted that the intention is to gradually add days to the hours of operation as the schedule fills, until 5 days per week if services is achieved. Something new that Dynamic is introducing with the Minnedosa Clinic is the lack of an on-site receptionist. Ross assured, however, that ample support will be available to clients. All schooling, billing, and support for this new clinic will be managed by our lead administrator in Hamiota, Lauren Gurr. Lauren has worked with us for a number of years and is well versed in our systems and the complex health insurance landscape, said Ross. Appointments can be booked by phone through the Hamiota office or through our website portal. All information required for the visit will be sent electronically to clients prior to their visit, including all payment options. Ross added, for those who are not comfortable with technology, Kieran will gather all relevant information on site at the time of the appointment. We have also integrated a secure remote payment system into our software, which will allow a stop-in-and-go type client experience. The Minnedosa location is also currently providing direct billing for Blue Cross and intends to eventually provide this service for as many other insurers as possible, similar to the primary location in Brandon. As we find solutions to add other insurance companies with no receptionist to assist on site, we will add those to improve our client experience, said Ross. Providing a final comment, Ross extended a word of gratitude stating, "Thank you to the local businesses that have helped to get us new clinic up and running." And big hopes for a big event in Neepawa by the Banner staff. A local group has taken it upon themselves to examine the possibility of staging a larger scale future event in Neepawa. The Neepawa Community Event Committee, NCEC, is considering something for 2026 that will bring in visitors from outside the community as well as a source of community pride. While events such as the annual Chamber Fair and the Riverbend Market have become beloved functions within the community, the type of large-scale event that is being considered has not been done locally since the Neepawa Lily Festival in 2014. The NCEC is meeting to discuss several different ideas, and the details of the events will be made public once they are finalized. Inquiries can be sent to ncec2026@outlook.com. And another hole-in-one. The Neepawa Golf and Country Club has seen its third ace of the season as William Melvin knocked a hole-in-one on Wednesday, August 6th. William accomplished the feat on the 18th hole, a 177-yard par 3. Congrats to William on the superb shot. And it's a bird, it's a plane, it's a bear? Seen here is a series of photos from Rob Waddell and Joshua Jackson taken within the Neepawa Banner and Press coverage area over the past few weeks. The hawk was photographed northwest of northeast of Rivers, the spray plane just north of Carberry, and the bear was in the north end of Kelwood picking choke cherries. And that concludes reading of the Neepawa Banner and Press for Friday, August 15th, 2025. I hope you enjoyed it.